Hello everyone. I have an Atlas N-Scale Fairbanks Morse 16-44 that I have installed a Loksound 5 Nano sound decoder into it, and I have wired class lights, red and green, into the auxiliaries on this decoder. I have directional lighting on that, and as you can see right now, I have the green on the front of the locomotive. In this case, the front of the locomotive is a short hood, and the red lights in the rear of the locomotive. And I have these wired up to F5 and F6. So when the locomotive is in the forward direction, F5 will show the green in the forward direction and the red in the reverse direction. So if I put the locomotive in reverse, then the reverse class lights will turn green, and the forward class lights will turn red. So I can demonstrate this with the headlight on. Forward direction and reverse direction. Now I want to show on LokProgrammer how I function map this. Turn these lights off for a minute. Now LokProgrammer I have up on my computer, and as you can see, I have a function mapped. F5 and F6 for my class lights. Now, auxiliary 1 and auxiliary 2 are set up for the front green lights and the rear red lights. Auxiliary 5, auxiliary 6 is set up for the rear green light and the front red lights. And I had under the condition, I had set up function 5 in the forward direction. Drop down box, and you can choose reverse, forward, or just ignore. So function 5 is going to be the forward direction for the forward green and reverse red, and function 6 is in the reverse direction. For auxiliary 5 and auxiliary 6. Logic functions is off, sound functions is off. I don't have those turned on, so if I go over here to function outputs for the lights, and you can see here that I set up auxiliary 1, auxiliary 2, and that's put into function 5 or F5. Auxiliary 5 and auxiliary 6 is in F6. So I had to choose a lighting mode. I chose neon light, only because when you pull up the drop down box, but in this case is a drop up box, everything is a flicker, a firebox, a strobe, a beacon, strato light, ditch lights, oscillating headlights, flashlight, Mars light, gyro, into train flashers. There's nothing there that does not flash, so I picked neon light. So that's what I did here. Sometimes there is a class light function or logic function that shows up down here I did not go with. So F5 has the front green light and the rear red light. F6 has the rear green light and the front red light. So if I go back to function mapping, and then that's where I set it up here. So whenever I turn on F5 and the locomotive is in the forward direction, auxiliary 1 and auxiliary 2 will light up. If the locomotive is in the reverse direction, on function 6, then the reverse direction green light and the forward red light will come on. It's pretty much set up sort of the same way the headlights are set up, like here. You can change those too if you want. But I'm not changing the headlights. And so I get back down here to the locomotive. So if I turn on F5, in the forward direction, the forward green lights will come on in the forward direction, and the reverse red lights will come on. So if I change the direction of the locomotive and put it in reverse, then the reverse green lights will come on and the forward red lights will come on. Each one of these class lights have a dual red and green LED, and each LED has two function outputs, one for the red and one for the green. So that's where I ran the function outputs to the auxiliary 1, 2, and 5 and 6. If I put this back into forward direction, lights will turn green. If I turn on the headlight, so the lights will change with the headlight. So if this is in the forward direction, and if we go to the reverse direction and I put it in the reverse direction, the lights will change, headlight will come on, and this is the direction the locomotive is going to move. So if I start it up, I can move it actually without the prime mover on. And if I start up the prime mover, headlight will brighten up when it starts moving. change direction. I have already done 2 of these in the past, and I kind of wished I would have did the class lights like I did this one. One I still have, but one was done for someone else. But it is what it is, and that's how I set up the class lights on this locomotive using a LokProgrammer. The LEDs. Are these little small LEDs here. I don't know if I can get that focused into where you can see the little dots in that. Each one of those is a red. One's a red and one's a green. And yes, these are not wired. I had to wire them up. And if I was to pull the shell off of this thing, it would be about 5 miles of wiring about this size. Actually, it wouldn't be 5 miles, but it would seem like it. And there's wiring it running all over the place inside this. So hopefully, this little tutorial video that I got going on here is going to help someone do their own function mapping on the class lights or whatever other light you want to do. I guess you can do that with separate number boards and that sort of thing too as well. Well, I hope everybody enjoys the video, and happy model railroading.